So in this video, we're going to talk about turning any space into a cash flowing bedroom. Any space. We have traditional bedrooms, which can be rented out by the room. We know this. We know that if we have 1, 2, 3 bedrooms, those are all cash flowing opportunities where you can make in 10 up to 15, in some markets, even $20,000 a month, renting out a furnished room in your house. But let's talk about other spaces that can also be converted into cash flowing bedrooms that are completely overlooked. We're talking about kitchens, we're talking about attics, we're talking about living rooms, we're talking about dining rooms, we're talking about basements, we're talking about garages, we're not talking about the kitchen, we're talking about garages, we're talking about multiple spaces that can be converted into cash flowing furnished rooms. So let's first kind of look into the mindset of what exactly your goal is when you have a house, you're looking to cash flow and turn it into a cash flowing property. For those of us that are really looking to make money, looking to make cash, looking to really cash flow, looking to make some serious money, we're looking to get as many cash flowing units as possible. Virtually, we're turning the house into an apartment building if we choose to take it that far. Everyone does not want to take it that far. So for some of you that want to limit it just to the bedrooms, that's great. But for those of you that are saying, hey, listen, if there's a way possible for my house to be bringing in 70, 80, 90, $100,000 a year, well, that's definitely what I'm looking for. So this is for those people specifically. So let's just take a look at the traditional house. The traditional house has, let's say, 3 or 4 bedrooms. Yes, those can be rented out and those will be rented out. But looking at the other possibilities, what about the living room? The living room itself can be converted into a cash flowing space by simply closing off the living room, putting up partitions, creating a door. That in itself can be turned into another bedroom. By the way, let's talk about tenants too. Tenants are looking, a lot of people say, hey, look, I don't think the tenant wants to use the living room or the tenant wants to use the dining room. That's completely not true. In my experience, and I've rented thousands of rooms, tenants are not looking to hang out in the living room. They're not looking to hang out in the dining room. They hang out in the room that they're renting. That's where they hang out. That's where they stay. That's where they are. As long as there's no TV, there's not a TV in the living room, they're not going to come into the living room. So that's why this needs to be converted into an additional space. And again, for every space, if you're renting at $800-900 a room, well, you're talking about literally between $9,000 and $10,000 per year for that space. So it's critical that it gets rented. And again, you could do this with the living room and you can do this with the dining room. Also, what about basements? Let's take a look at a basement. A basement is very often is 50% or up to 100% of the actual footprint of the house itself. That means that if your house is 1,800 square feet, you could have anywhere from a 900 to 1,800 square foot basement. So you're literally talking about possibly if you choose to do that kind of build out. And by the way, the build out goes to different levels. It goes to different degrees. But if you have a basement and you choose to invest the money into your basement, well, you're talking about for maybe a $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 investment, you're talking about maybe possibly putting 2 bathrooms down there and as much as 8 bedrooms. And if you're talking at the rate of 8 bedrooms, you're literally talking about somewhere around $72,000 per year that you're getting out of your basement. Could you imagine just getting $72,000 out of it? Could you imagine living upstairs in your house? And by the way, I have nurses that have done this, teachers that have done this. Could you imagine living upstairs in your house and you're getting $72,000 a year in your basement? This is not talking about the space you rent upstairs or just your living situation upstairs. You're just talking about in the basement itself. So the idea here is that you want to look at these alternative spaces. Another common one that is often done where conversions are done are in the garages. Garages are absolutely huge opportunity. And I've got, if you go to my YouTube channel, on my YouTube channel, you'll see here Smart Rooms, SmartROMZ. By the way, on this video, please do like it, share it. Definitely, we want to get it around. We want to get the word out about room rentals, about the opportunities in room rentals. But garages also offer a huge opportunity. Again, for many of us, our car does not necessarily need to go into the garage. Very often, you could get 1 or 2 bedrooms out of the garage. So suddenly now, the garage is making you $20,000 a year. These are spaces that were never being used. And again, the conversion is just how far you want to take the actual conversion itself. So you can take a garage, literally, it has space in it, has design space in it where you can create a walkway, depending on the size of the garage, obviously. But some of them you can create a walkway as well as 2 bedrooms there, especially for a 2-car garage. 1-car garage, you can turn it into an efficiency. There's a video on my YouTube channel about a lady who's turned hers into an efficiency. These are all opportunities, again, to create additional cash flow. And again, they work in combination. So you're talking about very often having the basement converted into multiple rooms, the garage converted into multiple rooms. It's just as far as you can take it, as far as you want to go. What about attics? The attic. I was just looking on a video with a lady in Detroit. We were on a video looking at her attic. Her attic itself, her attic couldn't quite be split for 2 sides, but some absolutely can. You have a left side and a right side, but hers was just one walk-through attic. But again, we talked about renting the attic out for $700 a month, and again, at $700 a month, you're talking about over $8,000 a year in cash flow coming from the attic. By the way, these numbers add up. Rents go up on an average of about 10% per year on average. There's been some accelerations in certain markets, so as much as 20%, but 10% on average. So if you're talking about, again, these things are going up by 10% every year. You're talking about off of an attic, you're talking about potentially having $60,000 at the end of 5 years from the attic. This is money that would have never been there. So again, you could be renting out the attics, you could rent out your basements, you could be renting out your garages, anywhere where there is a creative opportunity for you to create more rentals going in. People will rent these rooms. And the beautiful part about it is relative to how much work you're getting done, they can be quite affordable. Turning a dining room or a living room into a bedroom is just a matter of 2x4s, sheetrock, a door, paint, mud, tape, partitions, especially if the electrical sockets and the light switches are on the inside of the living room. Great, that acts as the light switch for the bedroom in itself. So they can be quite moderate in cost. And then if you go into the basements and you're building out a basement, of course, that's more of an extensive build out. But again, if that costs you $60,000, $70,000, you can have that paid off in a year and a half. And then after that, it's just free flowing cash flow. Of course, if you're talking about building out 7 bedrooms for unfinished basement. If your basement is partially finished, then of course, it can be significantly cheaper. But the idea is you want to create as many spaces as possible. People think that, and again, here, and of course, bring in the appropriate bathrooms. Just so you do know, bathrooms can go as much as 4 bedrooms to 1 bathroom. A lot of people don't believe that. But you go as much as 4 bedrooms to 1 bathroom. And the reason for that is that a lot of people are working generally, they rent rooms, they're working, they're busy, they're living life, and they're in and out. They're not just sitting around in that room. Contrary to belief, people think that a lot of people do sit around in rooms. They don't. They're very active, earning incomes, hustling, bustling, mingling, and just living life. So very often those people are not there, and people are not sitting in the bathrooms all day long. So again, you can go up to 4 rooms per bathroom. So the idea here is that you want to create as much functional, flowing, available space as possible to create those rentals, because the numbers do add up. Again, once you start getting over 8, 9, in some cases even 10 bedrooms in a house, where you're talking about significant cash flow coming out of a property. You're talking about you're now hitting that $100,000 mark in these properties. This can be very significant, and this can be very significant dollars going into your pocket. So again, start looking at your property, start looking at additional space that can be created, that can be developed, that can be created, where you can create additional cash flow in these spaces and create multiple streams of income from each room. Each room is a point of cash flow. For any questions, just reach out to me at www.smartrumzuniversity.com or just give me a call directly. I always pick up my phone, and let's see how we can help get you started in the room conversion business, in the room brokering business, and literally there's a fortune to be made renting out furnished rooms.